This is UMAR AHMED for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. Johnny Nelson, have you got a new career?
UMAR, IFL. That's you all over. Yeah, new career. Masters of Ceremony. All right, it's cool.
Firstly, I want to know, would you beat Luke Campbell's brother in a fight?
I don't know, man. It looked like he had a bit of weight on me. And I'm not sure if it was that cigarette or the beer bottle that would have done me. But it's nice. You know, when he was talking, he was still talking about our Luke. I was better than our Luke. And it's funny because people don't know the dimensions of what happens when a successful family member, especially in the sport of boxing, when he's at home behind closed doors, he turns into that little brother, son. It was nice to see.
This is no offence to Luke's brother, but I must admit, when I first saw him, I definitely didn't think that was his brother.
Well, I don't think anybody did, but Luke's obviously the disciplined version of him, that's all it is. So it was nice that, I think it's always important that you keep the same circle of friends as you're growing up. And in our game can be very fickle. But when you get to a certain stage, I like to surround, my friends were all boxing people. They understood. We taught boxing, drank boxing, ate boxing. You know, we everything we did had it in the back of our mind. I think Luke's done very well to keep his same circle of friends with the same intensity and same focus and same success by doing that. But then you've got to commend his friends as well, because they're probably the ones that said, all right, Luke, get yourself on, we're off.
Right, Johnny, before we talk more about this weekend, I do want to reflect on events in Russia. Last weekend, Yarde Kovalev, what were your thoughts just as a whole? We'll get more in depth in a bit.
I thought, again, it was just down to experience. I think Yarde proved that he's a good fighter and he's a tough cookie. Went in there completely confident. His only naivety of ignorance, of not having the experience at that level, when he kind of punched himself out in about 8 rounds, in the 8th round when he had him going. And therefore after that, he was exhausted more than anything else. I know it looked like it was a shot, he was exhausted. But Yarde, I think for him, he'll learn from that. And for him to go to Russia, to box away abroad, like in a place like that for the first time, I think what he did was commendable. He took a job on that. On paper, he thought, really? But he actually did a good job. He had Kovalev hurt. Yes, he wasn't dominating the rounds, but he was still a force to be reckoned with. And I think he learned so much from that fight. And as I say, in our game, a loss, you know, he's sometimes pretty good for a fight, because he makes you go back and check himself and puts him in his place and say, right, then I'm not as good as what I thought. This is what I need to do to step it up a little bit. And so in reality, and it's probably easy for me to say, it's probably the best thing that could have happened to him for his career.
Well, you say that, but I spoke to Tunde after the fight, and he said that he's not going to focus on the negatives, i.e. implying they're not going to look to address anything. What do you make of that?
Oh, yeah, of course, listen, he's not going to... In my opinion, if it was me, I'd look at why didn't he win? And we'd sit down and talk, look at the fight and say, wow, what did you do? Why didn't it work out for you? And that's, I know your focus is on the negatives, but that's how you get better. As a fighter, you look at yourself and think, how would I beat me? So he's got to look at and think, why didn't we win? Why didn't we win? What did we do wrong? What didn't work out there? You need to focus on that. So maybe he or I are misunderstanding the question or his answer. But it's a positive thing all round for Anthony, because he proved that he can be a force to be reckoned with at world level. He proved that he can bang. He proved he's got heart. He proved he's not to be overlooked. You know, we'll quickly bum up Joshua Buatsin. Buatsin an outstanding fighter, and people make that comparison. I'm thinking these two guys, wow, that'd be a wicked fight. And he introduced himself to the world, Yarde, and so you've got to give him credit where credit's due.
A lot of criticism has been levelled at Tunde Jai for not giving instructions in the corner between rounds. He literally wouldn't say anything or help Yarde out in terms of what was going on. Now, there are some trainers who do that. What is your opinion on how trainers should conduct themselves during rounds?
Listen, they may work how they work. To me, that's not my cup of tea. That's not my style. To me, make the instructions plain, simple. The reason why you're in the corner is not just to feed him water. Not for him to remember what you did 3 weeks ago. You are the third eye. You're the one that says, right, this is what you're doing. This is what is working. This is what isn't working. I want you to do this next. And so to me, that is a no-no. You know, he needs direction. David Beckham wouldn't be David Beckham without Alex Ferguson. Prince Naseem Hamed wouldn't be Prince Naseem Hamed without Brendan Ingle. So don't you tell me all of a sudden, you know, you've invented the wheel, and we don't need to do that because you need to do this in our game. It's most important. Or even the likes of Ali did it. And even Mayweather tried to stand out like he didn't do it, but even his own man is saying, what are you doing when he boxed Pacquiao? You need direction. You need someone to say, look, this is what you think you're seeing, this is what you're missing, this is the open that's there for you. So I disagree with that. But again, it's their relationship, it's how they work. But I think it'll be to his detriment. He'll not do that again. And it'd be silly if he did, because he'll lose a lot of fighters working like that. So to me, I just think that's an honour. But again, you don't know what the game plan is, what the game plan was.
Moving on to this weekend, we see another Brit in an underdog situation. Different because Anthony had very small amateur experience, little pro experience. Luke Campbell completely different, but he goes up against arguably the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Being brutally honest, what chances do you give Luke?
It's a bit unfair because it's like the Lomachenko show. Lomachenko's the headline name here in the UK. He's the one that's got a lot of publicity. He's the one that everybody's saying the pound-for-pound best. He's the one that realistically, if you're honest, people are thinking Luke's got a hard task. We hope he wins, but we don't think he will. Because Lomachenko has done what he's done in such a short space of time in so little professional fights. So Lomachenko has deserved that right. But let's remember Luke Campbell, he has height, he has reach. He's creating another obstacle, a different shape and size for Lomachenko to deal with. He has the amateur pedigree. Basically, what he's had to do, he's had to learn on the job as a professional. And Lomachenko picked it up a lot quicker. Third professional fight, was world champion, picked up a lot quicker. So for Luke, he's just had to learn on the job. So of course we're going to doubt him. Of course we're going to think, wow, you've got a tough task in hand. But you know what? That's what it is. He's just got to get in there, do the job, do his best. He's got to box to the best of his visibility. And Steve Button said it in the short film, and he said, and I agree with him, I think we are going to see the best of Luke Campbell Saturday night. I like how cool he is. Cool how Luke suits him down to the ground under the pressure. Fight week, he's here in central London, looking at a little premiere. He's just very, very relaxed. His temperament hasn't changed. And I like that. I just wouldn't want to do it at this point. Coming up to a fight, I'd want to do as little of this sort of stuff as possible. But I think Luke, I like his attitude, I like his confidence. It doesn't matter if you and I don't believe he'll pull it off. He clearly does. And I think it'll be an excellent fight, and I think we're going to see the best of Luke Campbell Saturday night.
Look forward to it. Just a couple of more things. Moving on to heavyweight division. We haven't spoke to you since Ruiz Joshua 2 has been announced for Saudi Arabia. What are your thoughts on it landing in the Middle East?
I don't know. For some reason, I don't. Even though it's been announced and signed and sealed and more or less delivered, it baffles me why it's there. It baffles me that it'll still take place there. And obviously, if it's been signed and sealed and delivered, it's going to take place there. So location, that's not my business. Location.
Why does it baffle you?
Because I think of all the places in all the world, why there? Why not here or why not America? You understand? Why there? Why not back to the scene of the crime? Why not even in Mexico? But why there? And I just don't get it. Obviously, that's where the dough is, but I just don't get it. I think Anthony Joshua wins. I think he's
1,000%.
1,000%. I'm going to walk in with a T-shirt, #1,000%. I think he wins. I think he suffered the crime of taking his eye off the ball. He met Ruiz that week. He looked at him. He did what we all did, laughed at him, thought, is it really? And he had to learn a harsh lesson. And in public, he's had to hold his head up high and say, "Oh, I messed up." He had a bad day at the office. Simply, that's all he did. Had a bad day at the office. And I think now, and Ruiz, what did we, outside of boxing, what did you really know about him? So now he's toppled the most famous heavyweight in the world. Everybody knows about Ruiz. Everybody will be watching him, what he can do, what he can't do, what his feet are like, what his hands are like. Now Joshua will be able to train for him, say, right, this is what he does. I'm going to do my homework on you. And he's done it with drive and ambition and passion. So I think he'll win. And personally, I think he should win boring, boxing, move, parry, use footwork, use a stiff jab, let the opportunities come on, popping, snapping quick. I watched a documentary with him when he was talking to Anna Woolhouse, and he seems to have got it right. He's not going to change his team; he may add to it, and I get that. I'd love to be a third eye there, because I get how he's going to beat him. I get he has the ability to do it. He's having the discipline to do it, and I don't doubt a win. I don't doubt it for 1 second.
Just on the location, one more. Are you baffled because in the build-up we've heard that his best chance of gaining them belts back are to have it in Cardiff, home advantage? Is that why you're baffled?
No, I'm not. I'm not at all. And I think as a champion, you've got to be able to travel the world and beat anybody anywhere. And so to me, that's my in my head, that's how a champion works. I'm world champion. I can box anywhere in the world and come back a winner. He lost in New York, Madison Square Garden. I thought it should be back in Madison Square Garden or even in Mexico. But for Saudi Arabia, okay, I looked at when Amir Khan boxed out there. In that part of the world. Yeah. And it was just a different vibe, different atmosphere, different. It was just a different setup. And I know it's a great thing to have it out there because that's where the money is. But it just baffles me. It just baffles me. It does. And I just think, you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if the venue was changed and they picked someone else. I wouldn't be surprised, but it just baffles me. Listen, I've never been to that part of the world at all, but it does baffle me why it would be there.
Okay, you said that you watched the documentary that Sky did with Anthony Joshua. What did you make of him calling Lennox Lewis a clown? All
right, so he's taken a lot of stick for that, Anthony Joshua. My opinion is this: we don't know what the beef is between the two of them. Nobody knows. All we know is he called him a clown. We also know that Lennox Lewis has probably been having, has had an opinion of Anthony Joshua for the last 3 years. So Lennox Lewis has said a few things. I'm a friend of Lennox. I like Lennox. I'm cool with Lennox. But he said a few things and rubbed shoulders with Wilder and co. So he said a few things. Joshua's not said anything yet publicly until that one time. So let's look at what Lennox Lewis has said before that. Let's look at Lennox's position and his opinion on Anthony Joshua before that. Let people look back at that and then think, well, actually, this is all Anthony Joshua said in everything that you've said about him, even if it's positive criticism. And we don't know what's gone on behind the scenes. This has come from somewhere. So something's gone on between the two. So it's easy to speculate and point fingers and say you're being disrespectful. But we don't know what's happened behind the scenes. And so there's two sides to every story. So I get that. I get where Lennox is coming from. Lennox is, he's basically saying, look, I'm trying to give a young lion a bit of advice. Maybe that advice didn't sit very well with Anthony, and that's why he came out with such a line saying Lennox is a clown. Or maybe there's something that Anthony just didn't respect about what Lennox did. So don't just kick him and say, well, you shouldn't have said that because it achieves X, Y, Z. Something else has been said and gone on behind closed doors, and we'll probably never know it. You don't just say that out of the blue, my man's a clown. There's something going on. It's an argument we don't know about. So it's clearly none of our business because nobody knows what the argument is. And maybe Anna could have pushed him and said, well, explain what's the problem? What's the beef? What's going on? Because there is some beef, and we just don't know it. And that just stole the headline. But we just need to look behind the scenes.
think Anna might have been a bit gobsmacked at the time, though.
I think we all were.
Yeah.
We all were, and hindsight's a great thing. Well, you should have asked this, you should have asked that. I think Anna did an amazing interview. I think she did really well, and she was very matter of fact about a lot of things. She asked the questions what most of the public wanted to know, to ask. But in that, in hindsight, I'd have pressed him on that and said, "What's going on? What's all that about? Where's that come from?" I'd have pressed him on it.
Last one, Dillian Whyte. We're still awaiting news on what's going on with UCAD, etc. I think Eddie said today he's going to be here in October.
I spoke to Spence Bennett, and he said he spoke to Solomon. And Solomon said, well, he's not banned as far as we're concerned. And we found out via social media, well, he's not. What's happening here? You know, so it's like, it's all in the air still. And it's just, we'll get to the bottom of the story. Again, I messaged Dillian, said everything cool or so, what's going on? And he said, you know, he feels hard done by, as though someone's trying to leg him over. And again, he's being humble and thinking, I'll not say anything. It'll all come out in the wash. So again, we can only speculate. We've got to wait, sit tight and wait. And straight away, you know, he's had the British public behind him. And I'm quite sure most of the British public now are like, no, it can't be. Just hoping upon hope. No, that can't be the case. So let's just see how this hearing turns out.
All right, Johnny Nelson, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. Is there anything you want to add? Anything you want to say to all your fans out there?
Like my guns, Billy Ray, I've been working out. That's right. That's cornflakes, sugar frosties. I'm good.
When's your film coming out?
Huh?
When's your film coming out?
It's out already, XXX.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much.